All right, hey folks, how we doing there? AJ here, co-founder of Mad Bond Media, here introducing you to our new series, ENCORE, presented by Mad Bond Media and Channel Vivid. Just a quick little brief synopsis of what the series is. I'm someone who's been in the film industry for the past 10 or so years, and I gotta say, I've been so thankful to be a part of this community that's like opened their arms to me, working on several projects, films, TV, videos, and stuff like that. And for me, the big thing about working in this community is the connections. I look at this guy to my left, the guy to my right, and it's like, it's just so nice to have these people that want to likewise do these fun, creative things and make their dreams come true. So this project for me is my way of giving back to that same community that has given me so much and held me down over the past decade or so. With us today, we have KC Sims and we have Justin Kongolo. We did a short film, which I'm sure you just watched, called Bubble Wrap, in which these two men played different characters. We had Cameron Jordan and we had Darius Jordan, two brothers who are reuniting after the death of their mother and what conflict lies underneath that. So I'm gonna start off really quick with y'all, and you guys can start, whoever wants to start. Can you briefly speak on your experience in the New Orleans film community and what it's kind of meant to you joining this like very tight-knit group of like filmmakers and creatives?
Well, I came here when I was 19. Most experience I had doing film was like short films in high school. I took a break my first year in college to study English, and I knew immediately that's not the path I wanted to follow. So coming here was really just opening the doors and finding out what's possible when it comes to having a career, when it comes to meeting people and collaborating on something. And previously it had been some fun thing, and here I learned how much it could be your life, you know?
Yeah, I'm really originally from a theater background. I majored in TV and film because I wanted to see behind the scenes of the camera. I wanted to get behind and create my own things, and that connected me with so many different talented, passionate people in this community, and a lot of overlooked people. I feel like Louisiana has, from what I've experienced, so many talented people, and this industry kind of comes to Louisiana to film a lot of different productions here, but then they end up leaving and going other places and not providing, I guess, a pathway or even really that many opportunities for a lot of people that are out here. It seems like a lot of people, even on behind the scenes, on the sets, people are trying to scrunch or scramble to get positions on a set. And I believe I looked at a number recently that said around 15 to 20% of Louisiana locals are even on film sets to begin with. So I'm grateful to be a part of that community as well, because these people are great workers and they're passionate about what they do.
Yeah, I think too, to go off of that, a lot of folks also don't really understand like how much just work it brings to like local vendors, people who rent out props and set deck, and like people that rent out their establishments for film people. Like for those business owners, you get used to like, oh yeah, it's like every few years Queen Sugar's coming back.
Right.
This show's coming back. So it's like NCIS is coming back, where it's like something like one of those shows that's been there for like the better part of a decade. The people in that community get used to like the reliance, the sustainability of always having that work. So when it goes, it's like, oh crap, what do I do now? As somebody who works as a film crew member, it is tough to like get adjusted to that sort of lifestyle of like, yeah, I'm like gonna be working, at least one show that might take me 3-4 months out of the year. I'm gonna make a decent amount of income and like have resources that like if I was working a 9 to 5 at like a more adjusted rate, it's like not really one to one,
No, it's
and
not
it's
the
like,
same.
it's tough. I know people that have been doing this for like decades that are like selling their houses, that are leaving, people that have like kids in college, and it's just like for the industry to just sort of up in and leave in certain parts without some pathway is like, it's just so detrimental,
Right. 1,000,000%.
Yeah, man. Justin, can you speak as you, because you kind of came, I guess, here in that kind of halfway period
Yeah.
when like really like after the big boom of like there just being all these productions and stuff, but like
Right.
not quite, you weren't there quite as it is now, where it is pretty desolate and pretty, you know, shriveled up.
Yeah, you know, coming here was my first time being exposed to the idea that, you know, making things and making films can just be a lifestyle, that you could put food on your table just by, like you said, making props, you know, or rigging lights. I mean, every single small things that go into really big productions, you could make a really good living off of. And I was completely foreign to that. But what really kind of drew me in was the passion, you know, required for that kind of lifestyle, like day in, day out. Okay. Yeah. Day in, day out. I mean, people coming in and really putting in their heart on the table for what they're passionate about. And, you know, I would come in, I started on bigger sets as background. And then I would start to do short films with people I met on these sets who wanted to do passion projects and use, you know, the money they've made on bigger productions as maybe a smaller role to do something bigger that they knew that they could do. And I mean, truth be told, that's always what appealed to me. I mean, it's always great to make a living doing what you love, but just being able to do what you love, period, has always been enough for me.
Yeah. I think that whole idea of like going back to the connections,
Yeah.
for me, it's like I met you on one of those short films from another industry worker who I'm sure saved up money from a show he was on. So it's
Right.
like, it almost like the industry, you feed it and then it sort of feeds you back, you know?
Yeah.
And then from that, it's like, you know, I met you through you, I met KC, you know, and I'm hoping that like that idea of just like, I remember like after we wrapped the shoot day, it was so nice to hear you talk about, hey, Justin, I'm so happy we could finally work together. And for me, it's like, dude, that's exactly what I want this project, this kind of series to be. It's like kind of breaking down any sort of boundaries of like, hey, man, it's like, do you need a sound guy? Do you need a camera? Do you need another actor for your shoot? Cool, here's KC, here's Justin, here's so-and-so. You know, kind of just like making it to where it's like, oh, that part of reaching out is not like the easiest part. You know, it's just, oh, I know so-and-so from AJ's project or Peter's project. And not only do I know him, I've seen him talk in this space. I've grown to like know this person through both their work and also this more intimate setting, you know? Going off of that, I wanna ask y'all a little bit about the project Bubble Wrap, because I intentionally tried to keep it as vague as possible. I wanted this to come off as, okay, this is a scene potentially from a larger project where I'm not really giving y'all the full extent of like the beginning or the end, and I want to see what you each add to that. So I'm gonna ask y'all, what are some things that you felt you brought of yourself to your characters of Darius and Cameron, and what are some ways you think like their stories either precede this, or like what do you think happens to these guys after this conversation about, you know, Mama?
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the ambiguity of the script. You know, I try not to draw too much from personal experience when I'm doing a character, because usually that just comes subconsciously, especially when there's not a ton of detail. So I read it. I got what I needed from my character. And then I was able to ask you and kind of fill in those blanks and on how you saw him, and use that to kind of just fuel the rest of him. And everything I attributed to whoever he was, of course, came from parts of me. You know, where that specifically came from, I'd rather not delve too deeply into. You know what I'm saying? But just the opportunity to do that and have that space to create, especially with a great scene partner, was amazing.
I agree. Likewise, Justin. Having a great scene partner helps the flow of everything, and you're a great guy. And, I think for pulling, I feel the same way. I couldn't really pull too much from personal experience with this character, but how I just approach things is I just look at the script. I look at what's being said about who I am in the script, and just fill in the blanks from there. And I asked the director, see what you think about everything. And I just kind of take it from there.
Yeah. I remember when like there's that one section where Darius, like right after Cameron is like, oh well then you can go back to the hood, Darius. And like during the rehearsal, I remember like you sort of took it to where like the line sort of revved up where that first I live here was sort of like, you know, subdued and you exploded. And then I made the suggestion of like, oh, can we try it the other way? And then immediately you're like, oh, it's almost like he pissed him off. I'm like, exactly. I don't have to say anything else. And from there, it was like, I feel like we were in tune with that. Like, oh, okay, cool. Darius, in this moment, you know, he is a cool, collective guy, but we've seen like an uncharacteristic side of him now that's been brought out by Cameron through his like disrespectful, you know, like insinuation of, oh, well, you know, if you don't want to be here, it's like, brother, I am here. You put me here. You know, I am now trapped here because of your actions. And
I think what comes with me is kind of the technique aspect of it when I approach a character. I think recently with a lot of different roles that I've done, it's required me to learn stillness a lot more. So I think maybe that's what I try to approach a character with at first, is like, okay, what have I been learning from past roles that I could have done better? Let me try to add it into this aspect. Because I think normally I want to go louder. I want to like kind of just scream a little bit because it's therapeutic to scream, but it's also very easy to scream as an actor and get to that level of loudness. So I think that's how my brain kind of does it. And then when the director provides adjustment to it, that adds a new layer to the character.
Yeah, I get that.
And I'd like to think, you know, after this, they kind of continue to be vulnerable with each other. You know, when I look at the script and I look at what's shot and what the audience sees, it's that moment of vulnerability. That's really the crux of what's going on. You know, we have this almost facade that we put on to begin with of what was, and we have to confront ourselves with what is. And I think once you do that, once you be honest with yourself, then you could really go forward. And I like to believe that's the beginning of being honest. And what comes afterwards.
You think our characters, like, there's going to be more arguments from this, right? Or you think that's it?
I mean, in my opinion, sometimes arguments is where the truth comes out. Arguments are necessary for relationships. I mean, you can't have, you know, true love unless you have some sort of conflict. Personally, the people I really care about, you know, also get on my nerves the most, you know? And that's a lot of the times, that's a brother sort of relationship, especially.
Yeah.
I think for sure something as powerful and intimate as love is really not something for like cowards, which is like a strong thing to say, but like,
wow,
to love someone, to love someone is to like put yourself out there for them and give them that vulnerability to like, this might potentially hurt you, but if you're holding back parts of yourself, you're never going to feel that true love, and they're never going to feel it, because there's always going to be that, again, like that deflection of, oh, you remember when mama said this? And when it's like, no, you two brothers are grieving over your mother, and you don't know how to talk about it in ways that aren't like jokes or deflections.
Right.
So it's like, I definitely think that like Cameron and Darius have a lot more fights after this, but they have these fights now with the understanding of like, oh, well, there's nothing you can really do or say is going to push me further than we were before this first fight. Because that first fight that we see at the table is like the first step to them actually like getting on that path of, you know, healing each other. Because, you know, I didn't writing this, it wasn't a lot of personal material, but like, I mean, we all got family stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, the idea of like having family that you were once so close with, and sometimes it's like nobody's fault. Sometimes life just kind of goes on, but it's like remembering those times of like, oh, when things felt a bit easier and wanting to get back there, but it's like getting back there takes like deep, serious work. And it's like, it means somebody, you know, hopefully both, but like somebody taking that first step to like kind of bridge the gap.
Yeah.
I guess when I'm thinking about what happens after this, it feels like it'll just be cyclical. Like it'll just be there. How I experience different familiar relationships whenever there's arguments or whatever. I don't think that there's really ever any resolution. At least I haven't seen it in my life specifically. It just seemed like, it's just going to be this constant, which isn't really, but that's kind of
okay.
That's love,
That's
right?
okay. Once they
that's
stop
love.
is when they stop caring about you.
Yeah, right,
When they stop,
right.
saying, hey, maybe don't pick up that bottle.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, okay, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And then that's really where things kind of end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that we have any sort of argument, the fact that we didn't just deflect and continue talking about Mr. Franklin or Mama and the good old times, I think that speaks to the progression of our relationship, hopefully, and not just the continuation of some sort of distance,
Okay.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's a line in the script which I went back and forth with about taking out, but I'm happy I left it in. It's that line where Justin, you ask about y'all's dad, and I was so happy too because on the day it's like you asked the question and both of you guys just inherently just like looked away from each other, which I thought was like perfect for that. But like that idea of just like there's so many issues going on right now in this conversation, and we don't know what was going on with their dad. But like right now, the priority is figuring out their stuff. So the idea of like, okay, yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen with dad. Nothing in the script really tells us. In the terms of like, the writing or like y'all is like verbally talking about it. So like, what do y'all think y'all's character in that moment felt like? Was that more of like a, to
me, how I saw it was that, dad wasn't there.
Yeah.
It felt like, Cam even asking about that was kind of like, what the answer is.
What you talking about?
Right.
Yeah, why you trying to deflect?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
I mean, I feel like given the relationship you had with mom, and the fact that you were there and taking on that caretaker role, some part of me kind of maybe hoped that dad might have lifted the burden a little bit. I don't know if he ever was there to lift any sort of burden, but especially in a time of need, hopefully that guy would show up, right? But we both know that's wishful thinking, and it's easy to have wishful thinking when you're not there.
Right. I was about to say that. Yeah, I think Cam. It feels like when Darius hears that, it's almost another point of like, why would you even think dad would pop up? Of course, he's haven't helped us all these years. So you thinking that is also us, or Cam thinking that is also like you haven't been around at all. You don't know.
Yeah.
I'm naive little bro. You might be you've always been more grounded in reality, let's say. And just saying that now makes me think, hey, I might have, chased my dreams with this music thing or, whatever made me famous and this bigger than life sort of persona. And you've always stayed sturdy, talking about going back to the hood, following to this new house, this different world and bringing the hood with you. And wanting to stake a place in that, and not wanting to go into La La Land, little fantasy land that I might be living in completely in. And that could build a lot of inner frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of missed chances, a whole life that might have just flew on by because of your stubbornness, But that's a lot to unpack.
Oh no, yeah, I think
we're digging into trauma about these guys.
Yeah, no, because I mean, you know me, I write mostly comedy stuff,
right?
So it's like I'm sure there's often times when you get a script from me and it's like a little more this and not that. So it's like I always love seeing how you handle different aspects of that because it's like I think you've definitely been in more of my comedic thing. So it's like the past thing we did, like the Void Within, which is a bit more experimental, but this is definitely like the most like dramatic thing that I've like thrown your way specifically. So it was super nice to see how you tackled it. And there was one moment too I want to bring out where you spoke on like how like after you asked about Mr. Franklin, and we went back and forth for a little bit about that line of like oh shit, and we're like, is he saying oh shit because he feels guilty? Did he genuinely forget about Mr.
Right.
Franklin? Like, what's like in that moment? You kind of explain like what Cam was going through. So would you want to like reiterate that?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're caught up in this reminiscence, this blast from the past, and maybe having lived so far removed from it for such a long time, my only version of what was what was. You know, I still believe Mr. Franklin's doing the Santa thing. I still believe, you know, maybe a little inside that the hood is the same place it's always been.
Yeah.
And you hit me with that reality. He's dead. You know, that part that you remember, that past, gone. And it's something that was brought up, like you said, 4 or 5 months ago with my assistant. I know that happened. But because I'm in La La Fantasyland, I skipped over it. You know, I continued with my life. Now I'm back to reality, and it's like, ugh, I'm back to reality. Yeah. Oh shit. You know, there's nowhere for me to run. And then you continue to corner me with the hard hidden facts, the truth of who I am and who I've become. And nothing but guilt for that. At least how I saw it. I mean, yeah, I'd be mad guilty.
I mean, I think, and I want to give you time to like speak on this too, KC. But like, I think also too, like, we went through it a few times before we got like that kind of true sense of guilt, where like there's one take, and I'm pretty sure we got it like on the first take, where like we gave the note of just like, I want you to think about like the idea of like Cam's mama just on the porch by her, and like your reactions in that scene are just so visceral. It's just like, you can't even look at them in that moment, but you see that, but you're like, nah, brother, I know you have to go through this hard part right now. We can't keep avoiding this part of the conversation. It's like she was on that porch for hours, you know, rolling around, crying out for help, and these same people, this same seemingly, you know, just nosy neighbor woman as before, like her kind of people, her neighborhood, they let her down in that moment.
Yeah.
And you can't let that go. You know, you haven't really experienced that, but he had to come home to that. So for him, when you're like, why don't you go back? He's like, bro, I can't let him off the hook like that. I just can't.
Yeah.
You know? So KC, like for you, like what was like in that moment where do you feel like Darius is trying to press Cam to a certain point, but not too far to where he like, you know, obviously like retracts and just leaves, but like, what do you think? Like,
I don't think he's trying to press Cam. I think he saw his mom on the porch.
yeah,
And knowing how many people pass and don't, or knowing how many people pass and have stared at this house and nobody saw anything, that's was bothering him. I don't think he's trying to like, it's just it's in his memory, and he's kind of trying to share that with Cam. Like I think he wants Cam to understand more than I'm trying to like
School me.
Yeah. It's this is really like this is really this is really messed up. This is really just messed up what I saw, and this was a very heartbreaking thing, and I was the only one that was around and to care about my mom. And can you feel me? Can you hear what I'm saying right now? Like leaving isn't an option, because I want to make these people feel me in a sense. I want to make them know that, yeah, we're here. We've been here, and you're not going to ignore us.
yeah,
You're not going to ignore me now. Cause
specifically, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And who can feel you but me? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Dad's not there. You
Yeah.
don't even have your brother. She only has 2 sons. You know, the only other person to understand what seeing your mom is like that is your brother, you know, who shares a mom. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing to almost put into an actor's imagination. I'd like to imagine most actors are very imaginative people. And you put that situation in my head, you can't help but feel very emotional.
Yeah.
You know, this sort of space, a film space or a theater space, is kind of where I've always learned to be vulnerable and kind of, you know, let those floodgates open and let emotion kind of drive a lot of what I do. And to me, as a son of a mother, there's not a lot more emotions than imagining your mom hurt, you know, and it gave me something to work with.
Yeah.
Truth be told.
I wonder, like, you know, I was just thinking, us talking about this right now is, I feel like if we went and did the same scene again, we might even do it differently because
Yeah.
and that's the trade-off with film is that you
Right.
get it instantly puts you in these moments, but then there's just so much more to kind of dig into. I feel like as opposed to like theater where you may have months to try and figure things out, then you got multiple performances to figure things out, and it's
But it's not captured.
yeah,
The audience has a memory of what happened, but it's not. You have no idea, exactly. You might feel a little differently about what happened. You might, think about different decisions you've made, but ultimately, you have no idea how different it was. You don't really know that the nitpicky stuff, if it was better, you know what I mean? That's kind of why I've almost always preferred film, because I have an objective measure of like, okay,
'Cause you can
it's
see
always
it.
going to be that. It's always going to be that no matter what I do. No matter what changes, it's always going to be that. And it's almost easier to deal with.
Going back to like how we're trying to make these little snippets feel like, meatier chunks of a larger thing. I think for me, like as somebody who loves to write, it gives me and also the actors like allowed to like live out these things so much freedom to like kind of make it your own.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not sitting there writing every he says it like this, he does it. It's like, no, it's like, how do you think he says it? How do you think he feels in this moment? And I feel like just the little bits of like letting y'all add to these, because like in my head when I'm writing these characters, they're just like ideas and stuff. But watching y'all live them, they're so much more real, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like y'all bring so much. It's like I remember when you showed up. It's like I wasn't even thinking like a jean jacket type shit, but that shit was so cool. You had like I'm thinking, oh yeah, he has like a typical like like blue collar handyman type suit. You're like, what about this jean jacket? The kind of like the kind of beige, almost like an off white kind of pink do rag. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it. And it's like you coming in with like the more like bohemian Lenny Kravitz kind of see-through shirt, and it's like, yeah, this is Cam. This is the dude who's probably out in like LA, living it up, not worrying about small town where he's from and stuff like that. So I think for me it's like the little bits of just like seeing what y'all, even our DP Alejandro Moreno, great, phenomenal job.
guy.
Thank you so much. Like watching him frame around this like great house that we had, like that house felt like a character to me. Like from like the piano to like even like the alcohol on the table that y'all had, like it all felt like, oh yeah, this is definitely the suburban house that a kid from the hood would buy his mama to live in, to be like, cool, my work here is done. It's I got you a nice house, mama. You probably bought him that truck he got in the driveway. Just like little things like that all kind of add up and make it feel more real.
There was also the real star of the show. What was the
Who,
dog?
Romney?
The dog,
Oh, yeah,
the
shout
dog's
out.
name. Well, Romney too.
Romney? Oh, yeah.
But I was thinking about the dog. It wasn't. You didn't really see the dog in the film, but I think his name was Shiggy. I think.
Oh yeah.
Or Tiggy. I forgot his name, but that was. And then we had the cats too.
Yeah, the cats jumping on the truck.
Right.
Cats
Love a good animal.
bumping on the window.
Yeah. But just the neighborhood in general, like how you were saying, it was like a
It was out in Old Metairie we filmed. Yeah. So like pretty goddamn suburban, Old Metairie. I remember there was like a point when it's myself, it's our friend Lewis Wells, black man, Alejandro Moreno, which you can interpret, his complexion based off of that. And we're like just standing outside with the camera, and folks driving by looking and staring, like, "What's going on out here? What are you guys doing?" And
I
it's
was
like,
worried about going to the house. I was like, "Hold on now," because I got a do-rag on, and I'm like, "This might be the wrong house."
So fuck you looking at to an old white lady.
Right, outside. Yeah,
hold on now. I don't know who it is. I don't know who she is, but I'm pretty sure she lives here, and you two do not.
Yeah. So it was able. The feeling. It was a little feeling. It wasn't. We were comfortable on set, but it was. That feeling was there.
Yeah. I guess for y'all, like, what are some things you got from this project, and what are some things you want to tell people who will potentially want to be a part of this Encore series in the future?
Ooh. What I got from it. I mean, personally, I feel like every single role is an opportunity to learn a little bit about acting, learn more about yourself. the separation, I think, is the biggest part I learned from this, because I have a big brother. You know, I moved away from my family. Maybe I didn't become some big successful rapper, but
Yeah.
I could imagine how I might be able to relate to this character.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't let that interfere, I guess, with what was going on. Film is a directing medium. We talked about that. And this was your story. As much as I want this character to be mine, it had to fit within the confines of your vision. And I think I had that as my direction for this, and maybe other times I might have been a little more selfish, a little more personable with the character I wanted to have. And yeah, this time I really just allowed myself to fall into what I believed you thought was best, and not what I believed I thought was best.
Are there times when you're going through those thoughts of like feeling selfish? Like how do you feel as like an actor in that space? Like, you can convey that, because like you and I are friends, we know each other.
Yeah.
How do you think you might have handled that with like someone like who's a bit more informal, or someone you're maybe just meeting for the first time? Like if I had thrown this,
Right.
Because in the future, just saying this, I would love to just like write these things and potentially throw them to other directors. So it's like if this was somebody who you had never met before, who you don't have that kind of friendship with, like how do you go about like, you know, giving that clear separation, but not letting them almost steamroll you in a sense of being like, do it like this, say it like this.
Well,
you know?
filmmaking is, relationships are huge when it comes to making something. And the more comfortable you are with someone, the more you understand, and the more you're able to skip past, how is this person seeing things? If it's someone brand new, I have no idea how it would have turned out. It really depends on the person and how we mesh. If it doesn't mesh well, no matter how good I am, I might be as an actor, it's not going to turn out well. And I might embarrass myself, which is always a big possibility when it comes to film. So being vulnerable and allowing yourself to kind of fall into someone else's vision and not being selfish, again, something I learned big when it came to this project, should be applicable no matter where I am, no matter what kind of set I am, and no matter who I'm working with. This person cannot mesh with me on any personal basis. I don't want to be Justin on set. I want to be their character. So whatever that takes, however, amount of times I need to see things the way they see things, no matter how many conversations we must have, those need to take place ultimately. This case was a little easier because we do know each other, and we haven't known each other for years. So it was a little easier getting to that place.
Cool.
And if I could say anything about anybody, hoping to join this is do it. I mean, give yourself that chance to be vulnerable, to do something new, to take on something that you might be really uncomfortable with, because it's only going to make you a better performer, better actor, better artist, better person.
Can you say the question one more time?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess for you, what did you personally take from this as a performer, and what are any thoughts you want to give out there to people who potentially want to be a part of this as an actor or director, or,
The thing that I took away from this project is that community is power, and it's key. We were just talking about how film sets come in and, don't provide a pathway for people to, continue working. So you have to do it yourself. And what you're doing with this series, ENCORE, and with, doing these short films out here and working, and what Channel Vivid is doing is providing, is creating in spite of, without having to have a major studio behind them. I think that's a mentality that a lot more people need to have, instead of waiting for for somebody to hand you things, you make it yourself. And I'm being on that set was learning that, like, we don't need we don't need
40 producers.
We don't. You don't need all that.
Yeah.
There's so many talented people out in Louisiana, out in New Orleans, out in Baton Rouge. There's people down your street. That's photographers. That's DPs. That's gaffers. That's writers. You don't need to try and extend to get these type of people. There's talented people around you, and for any people that will continue to, or that may do this work, just go on Instagram and find the people, or text somebody to be like, hey, I need some X, Y, and Z, whatever you may need, because these people are out here and they're ready to work and they're professional.
who are you? Also, we are wrapping up. So this last little bit, you can tell the people who you are, look out into the camera and tell them what you have going on, what you have coming up, any projects you might need like crew for, cast for, just general hands for. So leave that to y'all.
I'm Justin Kongolo. I'm an actor in New Orleans. Right now, I got a short film coming up that I wrote and acted in called The Last Ingredient. It will be on Instagram, my Instagram, as well as the New Orleans Film Club. If you are in New Orleans, if you want to create, if you're interested in making stuff with cool people, please join the New Orleans Film Club because we're trying to make stuff with you.
Hi guys, I'm KC Sims. I'm the actor from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Really excited for this great project. It's called Bubble Wrap. That's going to be super fun. And then also doing theater roles. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? That's going to be happening at the end of January, as well as super excited to be in A Streetcar Named Desire. That'll be more closer in March, and then whatever film opportunities may come after that. So.
You could find me on Instagram at Justin Kongolo. That's Justin, Kongolo, Kongolo.
You can find me on Instagram too at KC Wayne Sims. Yeah.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us for this first, hopefully, of many editions of Mad Bond Presents Encore, sponsored with Channel Vivid. Everybody wave to Alan. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Cool. See y'all next time.